Have you ever wondered if there is a moment in the day when your soul is in the greatest danger? Most people think the night is simply a time for rest, but Padre Pio revealed something different. He warned that the hours of darkness are not neutral. They are the battlefield where the devil tries to steal souls. And the saddest truth is that millions go to bed every night without even a single prayer, believing tomorrow is guaranteed, but tomorrow is not promised. Padre Pio never treated the night as a time to forget God. He knew that when the world is sleeping, the enemy is still awake. That is why he always prayed at a specific hour, the hour he considered the most dangerous and the most decisive for the soul. It was in that hour that he lifted his heart to God with tears, interceding for the lost and protecting himself from temptation. Think about it. How many times have you laid your head on the pillow without speaking to heaven? How many times have you closed your eyes, believing you were safe, but leaving your soul unguarded? Padre Pio said this was one of the greatest mistakes of the soul, to sleep without prayer, to enter the night without armor. In this video, you will discover the exact time Padre Pio always prayed, why he considered it so dangerous, and how you can follow his example to protect your soul and your family. Stay with me until the end, because this message could change the way you live your nights forever. Before we begin, write in the comments, what prayer does your soul need today? For Padre Pio, the night was never silent. While others rested, he felt the weight of invisible battles pressing on his soul. He often spoke of how the hours after darkness were filled with spiritual attacks, whispers of despair, temptations that grew stronger, shadows that tried to invade the peace of the faithful. Many of his letters described nights when he could hardly sleep, because the enemy of souls would torment him with noises, visions, and even physical assaults. Have you noticed how the mind becomes more restless at night? Thoughts that you ignored during the day suddenly become louder. Worries grow heavier, memories of sins resurface, and loneliness feels sharper. Padre Pio understood that this was not just psychology. It was a sign of the invisible struggle every soul faces in the dark. He warned that to enter the night without prayer was like walking into a battlefield without armor. When he urged the faithful to pray before sleeping, it wasn't out of routine or superstition. It was because he knew that at night, the devil prowls more fiercely, waiting for the soul that is unguarded. Millions today still believe the lie that night is harmless, that silence means peace. But Padre Pio knew silence can also be the hour when the soul is tested most severely. If this reflection is already stirring your heart, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, how many nights have I closed my eyes without even a single prayer? Share below with courage. Your testimony might awaken another soul that is falling asleep in danger. Padre Pio's response to the danger of night was not fear, but discipline. While most of the world slept, he would rise at 2:30 in the morning. Imagine the sacrifice. In the freezing hours of the night, when the body longs for warmth and comfort, he forced himself out of bed to kneel before God. Why? Because he believed that in those hours, the soul was most exposed and therefore most in need of protection. The dawn was not only his time of prayer, it was his time of battle. Pio once said that the devil never sleeps, and so he refused to let his soul be caught unprepared. While others trusted in the safety of their beds, he trusted in the power of prayer. His early mornings became a shield not only for himself, but also for all those who asked for his intercession. Think about your own mornings. How do you begin them? Do you rise with a prayer, or do you let the rush of the day dictate the rhythm of your soul? Padre Pio teaches us that victory begins before the sun rises, in those secret hours when only you and God are awake. And here lies a painful truth. Many people wake up already defeated because they went to bed without prayer and woke up without gratitude. The cycle of weakness begins in the night and repeats every morning. Pio broke that cycle through discipline. If you feel called to strengthen your mornings, write in the comments, "Lord, wake my soul before the dawn." Your words may inspire others to take the same step. Among the many mysteries of Padre Pio's life, one of the most striking is his devotion to the hour of 3 in the morning. This was not a coincidence. The Church calls it the hour of mercy, the time that recalls the passion and death of Christ. For Padre Pio, it was more than a remembrance. It was an open doorway into the suffering of Jesus. At that sacred hour, while the world still slept, he lifted his heart to God. His prayers became a bridge between earth and heaven, interceding for sinners, for the sick, for souls in purgatory. He believed that at 3 o'clock the wounds of Christ spoke louder than ever, and mercy poured out in greater measure for those who were awake and praying. Witnesses tell us that during those hours, Padre Pio often wept. His tears were not for himself, but for the souls wandering without prayer, unaware of the danger surrounding them. He knew that one soul lost at that hour was an eternal tragedy. The image of a frail friar kneeling at 3 in the morning, his hands trembling around the Rosary, teaches us something essential. The most dangerous hour is also the most merciful. Darkness is real, but grace is stronger. And when Pio bent his knees in silence, he was declaring to the world that God's mercy never sleeps. If the hour of mercy reveals God's generosity, the hour of sleep reveals man's negligence. Padre Pio warned again and again that one of the greatest mistakes a soul can make is to go to bed without prayer. He saw the night as a threshold. Either you enter protected by grace, or you cross it exposed to temptation. How many people close their eyes each night without a thought of heaven? How many trust that their heart will keep beating until morning without realizing that every breath is a gift? Pio called this presumption the quiet road to ruin. The body rests, but the soul rots when it refuses to lift even a single word of prayer. For him, sleep was not neutral. It was a risk. He would say that the night belonged as much to the devil as to God, depending on how one prepared for it. Without prayer, the bed becomes a battlefield where the soul is defenseless. With prayer, the bed becomes an altar where peace descends. This is why Pio begged the faithful not to treat prayer as optional. He knew that death often arrives like a thief in the night. How many stories have been told of men and women who went to bed healthy and never woke up? He believed that no Christian should risk meeting God unprepared. Padre Pio's insistence was not about fear, but about love. To sleep without prayer was, for him, to close the door on God's protection. To pray before sleep was to invite angels to stand guard through the night. Padre Pio did not speak about the dangers of the night as a theory. He lived them. Many of his companions in the friary testified that terrible noises came from his cell after midnight. Thuds, screams, furniture moving as if thrown by invisible hands. The devil hated him because he was pulling souls out of darkness, and so the assaults were violent. Once he was found bruised and bleeding on the floor after a night of torment. But rather than fear, he showed serenity. He would whisper, "The enemy can strike the body, but he cannot touch the soul protected by grace." These words reveal why he insisted so strongly on prayer before and during the night. Without it, the devil enters more easily. Think for a moment about your own nights. Have you ever felt a sudden weight on your heart, a fear that came without reason, a silence so heavy it seemed unnatural? Padre Pio would say these are not coincidences. The night often unmasks the battles we ignore in daylight. He himself faced the shadows, not because he was weak, but because God allowed him to fight for us as an example of vigilance. And here lies a painful truth. Millions today still underestimate these dangers. They laugh at the idea of demons. They neglect prayer. They assume they are safe. But Padre Pio's bruised body and sleepless nights remind us that the invisible is real. If these stories awaken something inside you, do not ignore it. Write in the comments, "Padre Pio, protect my nights." Your words may inspire another soul to open their eyes before it is too late. For Padre Pio, prayer was never about quantity, but about intensity. And he believed that prayers offered in the silence of the night carried a special weight before God. Why? Because at night, distractions fall away. The world is asleep. The noise of daily life has faded, and the soul can finally speak with clarity. He would often say that prayer in the night pierces heaven like a cry, precisely because it rises from sacrifice. Imagine kneeling when your body longs for rest. Imagine lifting your heart to God when everything around you is silent. That offering, born from struggle, becomes a flame in the darkness. Padre Pio believed this was why night prayer carried such power. It was not comfortable, it was costly, and therefore precious in the eyes of God. Witnesses recall that during the night, Pio's prayer seemed different. His face would glow, tears would fall, and he would lose all sense of time. It was as though the night itself was transformed into a cathedral. Angels were nearer, mercy flowed freer, and grace touched those he carried in his heart. This belief aligns with centuries of monastic tradition. The vigils of the early church were built on the same conviction, that the soul meets God most deeply when the body is most weak. And Padre Pio carried this legacy into the modern age. For him, the most dangerous hours of the day became the most sacred. The night was no longer just a threat. It became an opportunity to wrestle with God, to intercede for others, to prove love in silence. If the night was a battlefield, then Padre Pio carried the strongest weapon. He called the Rosary his weapon, not as a metaphor but as a lived reality. Wherever he went, the beads were in his hand. Even when attacked, even when exhausted, he clung to them as a soldier clings to his sword. During the night hours, he would pray one rosary after another, sometimes dozens in a single day, offering each bead as a blow against the darkness. For him, the repetition of Hail Marys was not empty. Each word was a shield, each mystery a light breaking into the night. He often said that Our Lady never abandons the soul that prays with sincerity, especially in the quiet hours when temptations grow. The rosary in Pio's hands became a symbol for all believers. It showed that even the simplest prayer, whispered in weakness, can defeat the most violent attacks of the enemy. He urged his spiritual children to keep a rosary near their bed, to hold it as they drifted to sleep, to rise with it in the morning. This practice was not superstition, it was strategy. Padre Pio had seen too many souls fall because they underestimated the night. With the rosary, he showed them how to stand firm. Many who visited him testified that just watching him pray filled them with courage. The beads passing through his fingers seemed to echo through eternity. To imitate him is to arm yourself with the same weapon that guarded him through the darkest hours. The night was not only for Padre Pio a time of prayer and battle, it was also the preparation for the greatest mystery, the Holy Mass. He would rise in the early hours, still surrounded by the silence of the night, and walk to the altar long before the sun appeared. Those who were present described the atmosphere as something beyond this world. The candles flickered in the darkness, the scent of incense rose, and the friar, marked by the stigmata, lifted his trembling hands to heaven. For Pio, the Mass at dawn was victory after battle. The demons had tried to crush him through the night, but there he was, standing as a priest of God, offering the sacrifice of Christ for the salvation of souls. The faithful who attended his early masses often said they felt as though they were witnessing Calvary itself. Tears flowed, silence was absolute, and grace was tangible. The dawn was more than a time of day. It was a declaration. The light always returns, no matter how long the night seems. And Padre Pio wanted every soul to understand that beginning the day with God changes everything. Now, reflect for a moment on your own mornings. How do you start them? Do you let the rush of the world set the tone? Or do you offer the first moments of your day to God? If you believe this message speaks to you, support this mission so it can reach more souls. A simple gesture, liking this video or subscribing, is not about numbers. It is about multiplying the light Padre Pio carried. Every click is a candle lit in the darkness, helping others discover this same truth. Padre Pio's life teaches us that even the darkest hour carries a hidden promise. Yes, the night is real, the attacks are real, the silence can feel overwhelming, but in that very silence, grace speaks louder. He often reminded the faithful that God never abandons his children, not even for a single breath. The devil may roar, but he is still on a leash, and Christ holds the chain. The night was not for Pio only a place of danger, it was also a place of encounter. He knew that in the moments when fear pressed hardest, heaven was closest. He often told those who were afraid not to trust their emotions, but to trust the cross. "Stay near the cross," he would say, "and the devil will flee." Hope, for Padre Pio, was not sentimental. It was forged in blood, in bruises, in sleepless hours. Yet even then he smiled. His smile was not the absence of pain, but the victory of faith. And it is this victory that he wanted every believer to taste. If the most dangerous hour is the night, then the most powerful hour is also the night, when prayer transforms fear into hope. Padre Pio's life is a testimony that no darkness lasts forever. The dawn always comes. When we gather all the threads of Padre Pio's nights, we see a tapestry of struggle and triumph. He did not deny the danger of sleeping without prayer, nor did he minimize the weight of demonic attacks. He faced them with full honesty. But he also showed us the way through: discipline, vigilance, the Rosary, the dawn Mass, and above all, unwavering faith. The most dangerous hour of the day was not a single clock tick. It was the night left unguarded, the heart left without prayer. That was the hour Pio warned against, the moment when the soul is most vulnerable. Yet at the same time, it was the hour he filled with prayer, transforming danger into grace. This is the paradox of Padre Pio's teaching. The very moment that threatens to break you can become the moment that saves you if you give it to God. The night, instead of crushing, can purify. The silence, instead of suffocating, can sanctify. But only if you do what he did. Pray without ceasing, trust without fear, and rise with discipline. His example is not meant to be admired from afar. It is an invitation. Every person can transform their own dangerous hours into sacred ones. The same God who sustained Pio in the friary is ready to sustain you in your own home, in your own bed, in your own nights. Now you have seen what Padre Pio revealed through his own life. The night is both the most dangerous and the most sacred hour. To go to bed without prayer is to leave your soul exposed. To rise without discipline is to enter the day already defeated. But to pray in the silence, to cling to the Rosary, to unite your heart with the cross, that is to walk the same path as Padre Pio and to be protected in the darkest hours. Do not let this message pass without a response. If your heart feels touched, give strength to this mission so it can reach more souls. Press like on this video. Each like is a candle of faith. Subscribe to this channel. Every subscription is another soldier added to this spiritual battle. And if you reached this moment with me, write in the comments, "Padre Pio, guide my soul." Your words will be a testimony, and I will know you walked until the end. Remember, you are not alone in the night. Angels stand guard. Mary listens to every Hail Mary. Christ himself opens his wounds to pour mercy at the hour of 3. Padre Pio lived this, and he wanted you to live it too. And before you go, do not stop here. There is another message waiting for you, a video that uncovers the 3 deadliest sins. Padre Pio said, "Send the most souls to hell." Watch it next, and let your journey continue deeper into the truth. God bless you.